Very special for you tonight. The WBA Junior Welterweight Champion Gene Hatcher will make his first defense of his title against Uby Sacco. And he won that, of course, in a big win over Johnny Bumpus, and you were there, Al Bernstein.
The fight against Johnny Bumpus was one of the most exciting and controversial fights. Here we see Hatcher putting Bumpus down. He was able to knock him down, and eventually the referee would stop the fight again amid controversy. But it was the power of Hatcher over Johnny Bumpus that night that won him the title, and this will be his first defense.
Well, if you haven't had a chance to see it anywhere else, you will see it right here on ESPN. As again, Gene Hatcher, along with Uby Sacco, will officially go after it from Fort Worth, Texas. We'll have all that activity as we'll continue with all of the activities. A big night tonight on Top Rank Boxing. Coming to you from the Showboat in Las Vegas, Nevada. Sam Smith along with Al Bernstein. Settle back and enjoy a fun night. Top Rank Boxing from Las Vegas is brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by today's Head & Shoulders. Its self-balancing formula helps control dandruff while it cares for your hair. And by Noxzema Shave Cream for extra sensitive skin. Champion, homegrown Gene Hatcher makes his first defense. His opponent tonight will be Uby Sacco. He hails from Argentina, 29 years of age, and his record, as you see there, 46 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw. He's got 22 of those by knockouts. Hatcher, the champion from Fort Worth, is 25. Weighed in at 139. His record is 22-2. He, too, has a total of 18 knockouts as he gets set for Sacco, and so are we as we pick it up as we get ready to start round 1. And Al Bernstein, you watch Gene Hatcher win the title, and I know that he's ready to go tonight.
He is anxious to defend that title as you look at him in front of his home crowd, and he's facing kind of an unknown commodity in Sacco, ranked #1, coming here from Argentina, and he doesn't know quite what he's going to be facing.
Gene is a notoriously slow starter, and you know that the Dave Gorman stable will have put a lot of notes together on Sacco despite the fact he's somewhat unknown. Well, what are we looking for from Hatcher? What kind of fighter is he in the early rounds that we can look for here, Al?
Well, you mentioned he's a slow starter, and what he likes to do is get that jab established, which he's doing early, hoping that that will allow him to, in the later rounds, jab his way in where he can work the body and the head. He's an aggressive fighter normally, and Sacco, a fighter reputed to be a good boxer with a good jab and pretty good hand speed, so we'll look for that from him.
One of the things we noticed about Sacco before all of the pregame activities got way before the fight tonight is that Sacco seemed to be very calm, very collective, as you saw him in the ring there before the fight got started, and certainly fighting here in round 1. He knows what his work is. That's to defeat the champion. He's in his hometown. That's a plus for the champion, but he's in there and fighting gamely here in round 1.
For Sacco, the main, I think, that he's going to have to overcome is the fact that he has not fought in 14 months. Had hand problems, broke his right hand, and had to have it rebuilt practically by a surgeon. And so that ring rustiness is something we want to look at, especially early in this fight.
Later on, we will elaborate more on what they call the bionic hand. He actually had it reconstructed 3 separate times. They didn't like it the first time. Re-injured it, and then had to go in and do it all over again. But he does have a much stronger right hand, they feel, even before all of the surgery. So that only time will tell after that layoff. Halfway through round 1, nothing spectacular so far. Al, it will be one of those evenings that I hate to compare one fight to another, but you did see the championship fight against Bumpus, and we'll be trying to delve into what you're seeing tonight compared to what we saw against Bumpus.
Well, what may be similar is the fact that Sacco, who lands a good right hand, is a boxer, a stand-up boxer. The difference, of course, is that Bumpus was a southpaw, but everybody that fights Hatcher does this, lands the jab and the straight right hand, and when they can stay at long range against Gene, they're effective. It's when Gene gets inside and starts to load up on that left hook to the body and the head that he's really a tough fighter to handle.
Gene Hatcher in the maroon. Uby Sacco from Argentina in the white.
Sacco is not bashful about using the jab or right hand or the left hook, which he's not noted for.
You see the time winding down in round 1, scheduled for 15. Hometown of Gene Hatcher has been just literally a buzz with this fight, as just about everybody in the know in boxing in Fort Worth has found their spot here at the Tarrant County Convention Center. So far, it's been a rather uneventful 3rd round with Gene Hatcher, Uby Sacco. I'm sure there's more action to come, and we'll have it after this. Fort Worth. Hatcher, the champion, in the maroon. Al, a rather uneventful first round. I'm sure the feeling out is just about over with these two, though.
About the only thing you could point to in that round was that Sacco was very active and was very poised fighting in the home town of Hatcher. And he did what you need to do against Gene Hatcher. If you want to beat Gene, you've got to get on him a little bit early in the fight and land good combinations. And Sacco showed us that he could do that.
Well, this crowd will be excited virtually on every punch that Hatcher is able to land. Al, one of the things every time we do a fight with a South American fighter, there is a certain style that comes about. How does it look with Sacco compared to some of the others we've seen?
He is a straight up and down fighter, just like most of the South Americans, but I think he has much better lateral movement and better hand speed than some of the Argentine fighters that we've seen. At least that's evident so far. He is keeping the jab in Gene Hatcher's face, and for Sacco, I think that's a key in this fight.
Those that have followed this Argentinian in his career indicate he has excellent hand speed. He has not put that many combinations or been able to do so on Hatcher. You hear the crowd as Hatcher comes to live with a left hand. Keep in mind, a left hook ended his fight with Johnny Bumpus that gained him the title in Buffalo in the summer, as we're halfway through round two.
You know, there was a feeling after that fight because of the controversy that surrounded it, some people thinking it shouldn't have been stopped, that Gene Hatcher, who was behind on all the scorecards by a lot, there was a feeling on the part of some people they were questioning whether he should be champion. And I think that he's very anxious to erase any doubts in people's minds facing the #1 contender. Good right by Gene.
Nice combination indeed by the champion, Gene Hatcher. Now, Gene seems to be loading up that right hand. Has he done that in the past a great deal?
Well, he likes to throw the right hand. I don't think that's as powerful as his left hook. I think his left hook is maybe a better weapon, but he's trying to land that right against Sacco. And look at Sacco come back with those combinations.
Hey, this Argentinian's fighting very much under control in round two. Hatcher in the middle of the round got some pretty good shots on him. He backed up, took Hatcher's best punch, and you see is not backing down that much. Under a half a minute to go in round two.
Gene is trying to go to the body, which is one of his main weapons. He's a very good body puncher. Wasn't able to go to the body of Bumpus as much as he liked, and early he's had a little trouble getting there with Sacco.
This has been a better round for Gene Hatcher, and maybe after a relatively even first round, the crowd wants even more. We'll have it for you in a moment. We're looking on as Gene Hatcher in the maroon makes his first defense of his WBA junior welterweight title against Uby Sacco from Argentina. Sacco, who has been off because of an injured hand for 14 months, and now the only comment I can make here after looking at the first few rounds is he does not look like a fighter with that much time off.
Well, he has been very sharp. He's thrown that right hand, which, as you mentioned, was injured in October of 1983. They rebuilt it literally 3 times. A surgeon rebuilt the hand, and he's not afraid to throw the punch, and the 14 months off doesn't appear to have had that much effect on him.
Hatcher in round number 2 started to mix his punches up. He went downstairs, came upstairs. You see him looping that right hand, trying to get in on Sacco, and now he goes back to the body.
Good uppercuts by Gene. That's a very good punch for him on the inside. And you see him throw an elbow a little bit at the Sacco.
Al, I hate to bring up a bad memory, but when Hatcher won this title up in Buffalo, it had to be one of the wildest ring scenes, and now we're in his hometown. Can you imagine what happens if that is duplicated tonight?
Well, things were a little wacky in the ring in Buffalo afterwards, and I know because I was in there. A lot of the people with Johnny Bumpus not feeling the fight should have been stopped at that point by referee Johnny Lobianco. But right now, Hatcher's problem is that he is facing a very slick boxer, a fighter who's doing many of the things that Bumpus did to him early in that fight. And Gene is trying to get inside, throwing some good combinations in this round.
Halfway through this, the third round, you saw Hatcher kind of sloughed off what might have been a possible low blow from Sacco. They have irritated him a little bit as he comes on strong.
Sacco is putting his punches together rather well. The jab and the straight right hand, and then he's following with the left hook. I don't think the left hook has that much power in it, but he's landing that punch.
Sacco at 29 years of age, weighed in at 140 to 139 for the champion. Hatcher again has been trying to use that right hand as much as he can in this fight. despite the fact the left hook has been his best weapon throughout his early career.
Sacco with the uppercut on the inside, and that's a punch he's employing as well, even though you would think it would be one that Hatcher would be more noted for.
Well, we have seen Sacco throw some pretty good combinations when he does get that lead left going. He does follow well with the right, and Hatcher has felt it. Closing seconds of round number 3. Gene Hatcher trying to pick up the tempo just a little bit here against the challenger, Uby Sacco. Here from Fort Worth, Gene Hatcher, the champion of the WBA Junior Welterweight Division. Here with Argentine's Uby Sacco in the white. Hatcher with his first defense. Rather tentative first round for both the fighters. Hatcher picking up the tempo a bit in rounds 2 and 3. But Sacco taking some shots of his own and fighting well here on the hometown of the champions.
One of Gene Hatcher's problems has always been that he doesn't cut the ring off on his opponent. And you see him kind of following Sacco around the ring. He's not cutting the ring off and cornering him, and that's what he'd like to do.
By the way, Sacco's left jab has been extremely good most of the night. Even though Hatcher seems to be trying to slip a few more of those punches, Sacco's still getting that jab in. You saw him try the hook to the body. He too has a good assortment of punches he's trying out here tonight.
Gene's style dictates the fact that he's going to get hit with some shots as he comes in. And during the course of his career, he's worked hard at trying to get a lot of head movement to stay away from punches. Sometimes it's worked well, sometimes it hasn't. But his philosophy is, I've got to get inside on you, and if I have to take some shots to do it, so be it.
Al, I warned you about a little bit of a comparison maybe to what you saw in the early rounds against Johnny Bumpus on Hatcher. Hatcher again, that slow start in round number 1. Now he picks up here in rounds 2, 3, and 4. Is this somewhat what we saw against Bumpus?
It is similar, although I think Hatcher's thrown a lot more punches in this fight already than he was throwing early against Bumpus. He's putting his punches together a little better. As with Bumpus, he's walking into some things as he comes forward. And if people wondered about Sacco, as they often do about #1 rated contenders that we've never seen in this country, I think he's showing us early that he's a fighter with some skills.
We're under a minute to go here in round number 4.
Wow, what an uppercut he just landed against Hatcher.
You know, he found that back in the second round, missed one very badly. But now he's come back in the 4th, and that one landed squarely on the chin of the champion Hatcher. Gene seems to be unshaken at the moment. As again, Al pointed out, he is not one to back up. Does not cut the ring off that much. He just tries to stay right in the face of the man he's fighting, and Sacco is finding that out here tonight.
But in this round, Uby Sacco showing us his boxing skills, and he is tattooing Gene with those shots.
Nice right hand that time, getting up on the left eye, which is already red and puffy on Hatcher here in round number 4. Hatcher in the maroon making his first title defense for that junior welterweight title, and there's the bell.
Uby Sacco landing good combinations to the head of Gene Hatcher, the left and the right, and that's what he has done early in this fight. And Sam, as he continues to do that, he'll do extremely well in this fight. That's the way to beat Hatcher.
We're just underway in round number 5. Gene Hatcher in the maroon, first title defense in his hometown. Where else? Tarrant County Convention Center. Hard to get a ticket in Fort Worth for this one as he fights Uby Sacco. Couldn't help but hear the encouragement coming from ringside to pick up the pace here for Gene Hatcher.
Well, they want him to keep more pressure on Sacco. They think that that's what will make him wilt. Thinking of the layoff, the 14-month layoff, the fact that that's really the way Gene wins fights anyway. It's kind of a war of attrition with him. And he might not knock you out with one punch. They'll certainly hurt Bumpus and knock him down with that left hook. That came after he'd landed a number of punches. Good body work by Gene. Good combination to the body. That's something that goes overlooked sometimes with him.
Gene Hatcher, who again has done a great job in using that left hook. That by the way, is the man that the winner of this fight will be fighting possibly in March and coming up in February. And he's looking on great intently here.
Yeah, Brian Veronnet, a fighter from South Africa who is scheduled, ticketed to fight the winner of this fight. And you have to wonder what he's thinking as he looks at these two men. Right now, he's got to be thinking that Sacco, who has now opened a cut around the left eye of Gene Hatcher, is fighting with a lot of poise and lots of ability right now.
How about the cuts, Al? Has Hatcher had a history of cutting easily?
He's had some bad cuts over the course of time. None that have stopped fights and that have been that much of a problem, but in many cases they've hindered him. Overhand right by Gene. Gene is, I think, loading up with the right hand, Sam. He's really not looking to go to his strength, which is that left hook to the body and the head. Could be that Sacco just hasn't let him get in position to do that.
Al, you made mention that Hatcher is a guy that cuts. Do you think sometimes a fighter, once he realizes he's cut, that sometimes a little something gets pumping, he said, hey, I got to go to work, maybe end this thing?
Well, that could well be. And for Gene, of course, oh, good right by him. In his case, it's his title on the line, and I think that would have that kind of effect on him.
Under 30 seconds to go in what has been a very good 5th round here. Hatcher landing some, but you saw Uby Sacco coming on strong near the end of the round. Don't forget that cut over the left eye. We'll eyeball that between rounds, give you a progress report. So we'll continue with more in a moment. Well, the corner has worked feverishly on that left eye of the champion, Gene Hatcher. Doesn't seem to be a problem right now as he comes out, answers the bell here in round 6. Sam Smith along with Al Bernstein. This is top-ranked boxing tonight. WBA junior welterweight champion Gene Hatcher against Argentina's Uby Sacco. Fort Worth Terran Convention Center, Fort Worth, Texas, the hometown of Gene Hatcher. And Sacco, I would have to admit right now, has given Hatcher quite a fight, including a big uppercut you saw him land there a moment ago.
So there's Gene coming out with some pressure, but Sacco has fought Gene the way you want to fight Gene Hatcher. Box him, move him around the ring, but you've got to punch. You can't just occasionally throw a punch out there. That will not discourage him. Sacco, though, is landing good combinations, and Gene himself is landing some good shots, like that uppercut to the body. But for Sacco, he's got to be very encouraged by what he's done over these initial rounds.
Gene, by the way, is trained by his father, Ron Hatcher, and this may be one of the most successful fighter-father type combinations we've got going in boxing, certainly not today.
I agree, and it's a combination that often doesn't work, as many boxing fans know, but in the case of Gene and his dad, Ron, it does work well. They seem to work well together, and it's a help rather than a hindrance.
Hatcher's starting to put a few more punches together now, Al, as we fight here in the 6th round.
Sacco is leaning in a little bit more too, Sam, and that's why he's giving Gene an opportunity to punch a little better at him.
We're halfway through this, the 6th, scheduled for 15 rounds.
Now, there was a nice defensive move by Hatcher. He slipped one punch and blocked the other one with a glove, but Sacco wasn't discouraged by that and came back with a 3-punch combination. That's what you have to do against Hatcher.
Al, I hate to keep being redundant, but this does not look like a fighter that's been off for 14 months. He is very crisp. His punches got some good steam on him. Hatcher trying to take a little bit out of him, but he's still fighting very well.
Sacco looks sharp. He is giving Gene Hatcher a tough defense in his first defense of this junior welterweight title. Interestingly, one of Sacco's losses came to Lorenzo Garcia, who had lost to Johnny Bumpus when they fought for the vacated junior welterweight title, a countryman of Sacco. Garcia took Bumpus 15 rounds, we should mention, and had him on the floor.
Under 30 to go, round number 6. There's that uppercut Sacco's tried to get in, and he's had some success with that. That one was blocked nicely by the champion. You see Hatcher starting to load up with that right hand even more. And he hopes to continue to load it as we'll move to round number 7 of this World Championship fight in a moment.
ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
Well, that's the idea what the fans want their man to do, Gene Hatcher, and that is to sack Sacco, if you will, or sack Sacco, depending on how you want to pronounce it here in Texas. But nonetheless, Gene Hatcher, who found himself in quite a fight in the early rounds, trying to take a little more control here in the mid-rounds as we're in round number 7. Gene Hatcher, Uby Sacco.
You might use another football phrase and say that Sacco has been blitzing Gene Hatcher early in this fight. He has thrown a lot of punches early on, and you have to wonder if he can sustain that pace all the way through. But right now, he is throwing a lot of leather at Gene. And again, that is what you have to do to beat Gene Hatcher. You've got to throw a lot of punches and land a lot.
By the way, that third man in the ring is not totally forgotten. That's Tony Perez. He has not been used that much during this championship fight as of yet. This is Top Rank Boxing, Al, from Fort Worth on this as we look at Gene Hatcher. We've got some live fights from Vegas coming up as we'll continue with more Top Rank a little later.
Yeah, the point I was going to make, Sam, is that Perez has not been needed because there's been very little grappling or inside holding. And that is an indication of how well Sacco's done, because normally if Gene Hatcher is fighting well against you, he's on the inside mugging you, and there will be some grappling and holding. Not that that's his style to grapple and hold, but, you know, inevitably when you get inside, that's going to happen.
Now we've been continuing to watch that left eye that was cut early in the fight on Gene Hatcher. There is a little bit more swelling, but for the most part, the bleeding that was somewhat severe at one point has been virtually stopped. And that's good news for Gene Hatcher. Good job by his corner as you see the time. Winding down here in round 7.
Gene continues to favor the right hand, and you see some of the blood coming from that left eye. Not going to that left hook very often. And again, that I think really is his most powerful punch. There he landed it.
Sacco continues to come with some good crisp punches.
Excellent hand speed by Sacco, and he is landing the jab, the straight right hand, and then mixing in that left hook, and even occasionally coming with the uppercut. So he's shown a full arsenal tonight.
Sacco, one of those Argentinian fighters that has 49 fights already. Of course, quite obviously, many of those in South America, you would always question maybe some of the competition early. But as of the last few years, Sacco has tried to up his competition, and now getting his shot at the junior welterweight title held by the man in the maroon, Gene Hatcher, here in Fort Worth. Sacco has put 22 of his opponents away by the knockout, while Hatcher, out of his 24 fights, a great knockout ratio. He's knocked out 18 of those. He's fighting here in round 7. More after this. Tonight, bringing you a look at the WBA junior welterweight champion, Gene Hatcher in the maroon. His first title defense against Ubaldo Sacco. As we fought through 7 rounds, Al Bernstein, I would have to say that if the judges have been watching this one closely in the way Sacco is fighting, this could be a little closer than a lot of people feel as we go into round 8.
Oh, it could be very close, and you can make a case for Sacco being ahead at this point. He has landed a lot of punches. He has thrown good combinations, and there's what Gene Hatcher wants to do. Get inside and keep his hands moving. When he does that, he's a very tough fighter for anybody to deal with. But from long range, Sacco has had the better of it. Oh, excellent right there by Hatcher. Again, I'm a little surprised, Sam, that Hatcher has relied on that right hand so much.
We probably could count on one hand the amount of left hooks, which indeed is his big punch, that he has tried to throw tonight. You saw a lazy one there a moment ago, but the right hand has been the one doing most of the damage here on Sacco. And this crowd cheering on virtually every time the glove touches the Argentinian.
And what impact will that have on the judges as well? The crowd obviously very pro Gene Hatcher. This fight taking a good right hand by Hatcher.
Big right hand indeed.
But you see that punch in and of itself is not really rocking Sacco that much. Gene has a good right hand, but it's not a devastating punch.
There's that right hand again. Another right hand. Another one. Sacco may be in some big trouble here in the 8th round. Without a doubt, the best round by the champion. You see the time winding down as Sacco got out of that corner in a hurry, but Hatcher is landing those right hands almost at will.
Well, the right hand is there for him, and so he's going to use it no matter what, and it is landing extremely well, and a couple of those certainly stunned Sacco.
To Sacco's credit, he has taken about everything from the right hand that Hatcher can dish out. There's another right hand. It's just a looping right, and it's gotten in probably 85 to 90% of the time.
The left hand of Sacco very low, and that's making that right hand more effective for Hatcher.
Gene Hatcher, just as we said, going into round number 8, might have been a little trouble on the cards without a doubt, has put together his best round, and you see that right hand. Hey, Sacco backed him up pretty good with a right of his own. Under 30 to go here in round number 8.
Big left hook by Hatcher. That hurt Sacco, and that's the punch that he can hurt him with. He's got him in trouble on the rope.
Sacco trying to hang on. Hatcher trying to pull out all of the weapons here in round number 8. He'd like to finish the Argentinian off. Sacco covering up nicely. Comes back and counters with the right hand of his own as we close in on the end of the round, and there's the bell. And listen to this crowd in Fort Worth.
What a round for Gene Hatcher. And he did it first with the rights and then with the big left hook.
You take a look at the work going on in the corner of both of these fighters.
Gene Hatcher landed a series of right hands in the middle of the round. You'll see him, there's a couple of them, there's yet another. And Sacco just kept his left hand out there, his lazy left jab out there, and Hatcher was delighted to land the right. And we see it from another angle. And that punch, not his best, but it's got some power, that's for sure. And it wasn't until later against the ropes when Hatcher hit him with a thunderous left hook that he really got Sacco in big trouble in this round. That came much later in the round, and he didn't really have enough time to finish him off.
You know, Al, from almost any angle, that right hand looks like it could have put a lot of opponents away, but Argentinian Ubaldo Sacco is still standing, and the champion comes out to answer the bell in round 9.
And right away, he sends a right hand to the head of Sacco. What Sacco needs to do now is box, clear his head, and use some of the things that were working for him early in the fight. And I think one of the things he'll need to do is use more lateral movement. He has stopped moving in the last couple of rounds. That's part of the reason why Hatcher's been able to get to him so well.
A round like round 8 will certainly take some sting out of the legs. And it apparently has done it on Sacco as another right hand by Hatcher gets in. Sacco is a marvel to be able to keep going here.
Gene Hatcher is landing right hand after right hand. I think that he would be even more effective if, when he has Sacco in this posture on the ropes, he would take a step to his right and then dig a left hook to the body and a left hook to the head. That really is his staple in the ring, and he's not used it as much as I think he would like to.
Ubaldo Sacco on the right. You can see, despite all of the battering, he is virtually unmarked. Contrary to that of Gene Hatcher, who already has a cut over the left eye. A little swelling over the right eye as well. Good right hand by the champion again. He goes in for the kill. Hatcher backed up and let him off the ropes, kind of surprisingly there.
What's encouraging to Hatcher, I think, would be the fact that he's not just landing the right now, he is doing some very effective combination punching also. And that has sent Sacco back on his heels.
Al, it appears now, as we were talking a moment ago about that cut over the left eye, there appears to be a slight cut over the right eye, made just around the eyelid of Gene Hatcher. So he was cutting early in his career, and again he's cutting here against Ubaldo over both eyes now. A minute to go in round 9.
Sacco has slowed his movement a lot and making it easier for Hatcher to get there. Now Sacco's still throwing counter shots, but not as many as he was early in the fight. And Gene getting the jab on track.
Sacco, despite the fact he has taken a pounding here in round 7 and 8, now moving into 9, has backed up a bit, but you see him still coming gamely forward here with a half a minute to go in round 9.
Good body shot by Gene Hatcher, and he has thrown some wicked body shots, but probably not as many as he would have liked to have thrown.
Hatcher trying to bob and weave, set up that right hand and find a place to put that left hook again.
Oh,